Welcome to the Totally Awesome Fishing Show, where in this episode I'm going to try and tell you a little bit about, are two hooks actually better than one? Well listen, if you go shore fishing for species like, let's say Thornback Ray, you can use two hooks, one up, one down, a bait holder and a hooking one. This way, if you're fishing from a drifting boat like a small dinghy, you can actually use two hooks but double your chances by keeping those hooks not together, apart. You've got two separate baits. Let me show you how I rig up. Now, this rig's not exactly rocket science. It's pretty easy. Glasses on, let's get straight into it. Now then, if you're fishing from a drifting boat, you need to do it over clean ground. Sandy bottom, few boulders, few bits of stones, not great big rocks, not great big reefs, because you're going to lose your gear. It's going to snag in the bottom. As the boat drifts along, you're going to catch in the bottom. You'll probably lose all your gear. But thankfully, the Thornback Rays, especially in Ireland where we're going, Courtmacsherry Bay, are on sweet, clean, open ground. In Courtmacsherry Bay, nice lots of sand. We know where the reef are. We know where the old sand are. It's lovely out there. You don't lose much gear. So, how would you rig up using this two hook? Well, it's a two hook running ledger rig. Okay, dead simple really. Thread your line through the rod rings. Bring it down from the rod ring, and we do this sequentially. In sequence, that means you slide your lead up. Now, if you're fishing from a drifting boat with light spinning rods like we're going to be using what we call Mr. and Mrs. Silly, really stupid little spinning rods for about £5 each. You can get away with 3-4 ounces of lead, sometimes even 2 ounces of lead. So you slide the lead up your fishing line. It's going to be hanging like this from the rod top. And then you need a bead, just like this. The bead stops that knot jamming into. I'll just try and pull those apart and show you. If you didn't have the bead, the knot on the swivel might jam into the eye of the lead. Now that means if you're going to take from a ray as you're drifting along, he's going to feel a lot of resistance. He's going to feel, in this case, 4 ounces of lead. So you don't want that knot from the swivel jamming in the lead. So put a bead on there, and that just slides up against the knot, and then the lead stops that. So it's nice and free swingy, okay? A gigantic swivel, because I've got bad glasses. No, because you guys can see it. It's like a 4-row swivel. I normally would use something like a number 10 swivel. So this is just purely for the camera. I'm going to make a trace from that, a nice long trace like this. Basically arm span length. This is called shore shot, this stuff. Now I like it really, obviously presumably it's for shock leader. It's £50 test, but it's quite supple, so I don't mind if a trace is for smaller fish. Don't like it for big fish, I like it for smaller fish. I peel off, let's say, about 4 or 5 feet like this. Okay, so we're going to peel off 4 or 5 feet, and we're going to cut it with the scissors. And we're going to tie it using a standard blood loop, or tuck blood if you want to use a tuck blood, of about 5 turns. It's on one of our films on how to tie knots. Just get through there, my little sweetie. Always use a nice bit of spit. Just moisten it, pull it nice and tight like that, and then snip off the tag end and hope it doesn't jam up the wife's hoover. So that's how it hangs, just like this. I've got no booms on there, you notice. The swivel is easily enough because it's from a drifting boat. There is my length of about 5 feet. And there is my 2-0, not particularly a fine wire hook, but it's a 2-0 hook there. And that's all you need. But hang on, Graeme just said he's going to be using 2 hooks. Now ordinarily with Thornbacks you'd be using maybe double hooks. One is a bait holder up the top here, wrapped around like that, so it jams. And this is the one you might hook on either of those two. But I want 2 baits, I want to maximise it. So I go midway between the lead and that swivel, back like this. So that's got about 2 feet. And then I tie in my blood dropper. Which is, again, this is on our how to tie fishing knots. I roll it around. I go around about 4 turns. We also use it for trout fly fishing, for tying in, well, dropper loops, just what's called dropper loops. Okay, so you go through, then you bring this line back through that hole. Now, easier said than done. And what did God give fishermen? Teeth, tongues, everything, and fingers. I hold the loop like this, and I just pull it, and you might just be able to see that just as I pull it cinch up tight. Now that hangs really, really nicely, absolutely vertical. Now you can make this loop as long as you want. I've got a short one there, like this. You can make it 4 or 5 inches long, but you can also, if you want, push that through the eye of the hook and leave it doubled, you know, in case you're going to pick up fish like ling, conger, anything like that. Or if you just snip up close to that knot, you've got enough of a tag in there to tie that hook on. Thank goodness I go to the dentist regularly. Huh, I don't actually. I'm just going to tie a few turns in there just to show you this. Put it up tight. Now, there you can see, I'm hoping you can see that normally we'd use this on a paternoster fishing vertically through deep water. We're not. We're going to be fishing from a dinghy in very shallow water. Therefore, it will keep, I think, better and won't tangle around the trace so much on a shorter dropper like this. If you use a long dropper, it could do this. It could spin around and around and around and end up pretty much like that, you see. But by using a short dropper, a lot of people say, oh, there's not much movement to the boat. Trust me, Thornback Rays will find that. So there you go, that's how it works. So leg goes on first. Just run through this again because it's dead basic. You can cast it, you can just lower it over the side of the boat, just drop it down to the bottom. As you hit the seabed, you just relax, open your bail arm, if you've got a fixed spool, which we'll be using, or bait runners or multipliers. Let the line go back. You do not want it bumping up and down like this. You want it bumping way back, so you want to keep it away from the boat like that. That's sliding, that's fixed, and as this bumps along the bottom, along the seabed, it will kick up little pockets of sand, little puffs of sand. That will draw over the thornbacks, and then behind it here is one bait here, just here on the short snood, shouldn't tangle, and then there's the other bait here. All that remains, as we say here at Totally Awesome Fishing, is to add water. And where are we going to add water? Well, Courtmacsherry in Ireland has some great thornback fishing. We're going to be fishing from Mark Gannon's little self-drive boats. I love doing my own thing. I'm captain for the day. I love that fact. You don't have to go in a great big charter boat. Get yourself one of those little self-drives, 8 horsepower engine on the back. Get out there in the bay. You can drift all over the bay and who knows what you catch. That's the rig. Let's see if we can actually catch anything. Come on, follow me. Well, the wind was blowing, the anchor was down, and all we had to do was catch fish. At least that's what you'd think. But here at Totally Awesome, it didn't take Mike very long.
I've got a fish on here on the Ray rig. It is blistering winds. We're in a small dinghy, and this actually, we thought it was hung in the bottom for a bit. We had it on the bait runner on this reel, and it was ticking away. Wound down to it, and it felt like a snag, but I felt a tiny bump as I was wanting it. So we put it back on the bait runner. We undid the drag, left it there for 5 minutes, and then I slowly heard the clutch going, and it was ticking out again.
It's moved
so
now, isn't it? It's moving.
Struck on it, and I'm not sure what it is yet, but it's a ray.
It is a ray.
You see it? Thornback. Yeah, I think it's a thornback.
There he is. Yeah. Oh yeah, nice ray. Yeah, nice ray.
It is a nice ray. Yeah. There we go. Watch his mouth. Oh. See all the thorns on his back there. Let's get him on the deck.
Male fish.
Yeah, male fish with the castles at the back there. Hold on, hook's caught.
It's so rough out here. We shouldn't really be out today, I don't imagine. With pitching it, we're the only small boat out today.
Look how he's reared up like that on his muscles.
See the muscles on him now.
Yeah.
They see all along the ridges along there.
Thorns all along here.
The edges, yeah.
All along the back.
He's not a happy bunny.
He's not. He's pretty angry, this one.
And along the tail.
Yeah. All along here there's thorns. Just along there. Catch on my fingers. And I have them here as well. I think unlike other rays which don't have them there, they have them on the sides where you're meant to grab them by the cheeks. So it's a nice looking ray.
Flip him over and we can have a look at the show everybody there.
The mouth.
The crushers, yeah.
The dangerous bit is crushing the hook, I can hear him.
Yeah. There we go. We just
I don't think he's going to flip very well because he's
you lay him on the
up.
deck, he'll relax. That's it. Flop it, laying down.
Yeah.
Nicely hooks there. You can see the hook here. We've got 2 hooks on this rig. There's another one up here. I think this bait is a bit untouched,
Yeah,
but he's on the bottom hook.
That one was a cube of mackerel and a bit of lugworm on it.
Yeah.
We get him unhooked and we get a still photograph. Just watch those teeth. You can see how it extends out those crushers there.
Yeah.
You can see there how his mouth extends outwards, and you can see all the crushers there, like little pin teeth on there. They won't cut you, but they will grind. They will grind down there. So that's why we don't use a light leader on them, because they can grind away with those 2 upper and lower jaws, and they go right through light line. I've got 50 pound on there, as we showed you earlier. Put a piece of 50. Smallish hook is, well, it's not particularly fine wire one, but it's done the job. Let's get him unhooked and get a still photo.
I think that's probably my first Thornback Ray, actually, I'd say.
Yeah, could be, yeah, could be.
That's my first. We had a small one on the boat the other day. It just goes to show on these small dinghies, on days like today where it's absolutely blistering winds, here at Courtmac you've got a nice big bay, there's plenty of areas for shelter, and Mark's put us onto a good little Thornback spot here. This is what it can produce, and it's good sport, good fun, especially on that light little rod I had. That was quite a challenge.
And they all go back alive?
All back alive.
The one thing with ray fishing is, although you can eat them, every chance they'll survive if you put them back. Don't keep them out of the water too long, just get the hook out, get a few pictures, get them back in the water, let them recover and release them. And of course, the other thing is, get that bait out in the water just as soon as you can. Light spinning rods, make sure you let that line spill off at a slow pace. Don't let it go down too fast, otherwise it's going to spin up around the main line with the bait, get twisted, and the running ledger we showed you will not work. Check your reel drags, that's the main thing, so that when you do set the hook, you're not going to bust that fish off. And then all that remains is to get that, well, put it in the rod holder or lay it down, but make sure if you've got a bait runner, just click the bait runner on, and then you're okay, you're all ready to go. It's just a question of sitting there waiting for something to happen. And with all fishing, who knows? Don't forget, you're drifting and bumping a bait across the bottom. And just what bait can you use? Well, pretty much everything if you want. But if you use a lugworm bait, that's really good for rays. What we use as a combo bait, a combination of a lugworm that's threaded up over the shank and over the eye of the hook. Push it right up and leave the point hook clear. And then a fresh chunk of mackerel, just what we call a cube, just literally hook it once, tag it on the end. That is about as good a thornback bait as you could want. And you don't need great big heavy tackle for these fish. You're in shallow water, you're in a dinghy, you can lay your rod down, but do make sure that you let some light drag on that reel, because you do not want the lot going over the side. Sit back, wait and relax.
Well, no more than 5 minutes later we baited up, you saw us cast out. We've got another bite on here, and here we go. You know, just faint bite, it's not a very obvious bite, but you can just see there a small hammer, and it might be a dogfish, I'm not sure. But key thing is with the rays, what they do when they come and approach the bait, they'll flop themselves on it, okay, to try and trap the bait, because usually their bait would be live. They would flop themselves on it, and then they would just sit there until they get the bait into their mouth. So it's important when you're ray fishing that when you get a bite, it's important not to strike straight away, because the chances are you'll foul hook it, and then you'll either lose the fish or it's going to be one hell of a fight.
Oh, he's there. That's a ray. That is definitely a ray. Watch, you don't go around the other rod.
Try and pump.
Keep to the right. Keep to the right. And watch the line. It's a small hook. Oh, he's kicking. He's kicking there.
You have to watch the rod top with rays and wait for there'll be a bit of give, and that's your window of opportunity to wind down. You just see the tip flex a bit. So we've just got this ray, just hooked him. What he's trying to do is get on the bottom, because what they do is with their wings, they flap the sand over their wings, and then they suck to the bottom, and it's near impossible to get them off. So when you do hook them, you need to crank quickly, and a few small pumps of the rod just to get their body off the bottom. And then usually they come up with no problem at all, but hopefully we've got this one off the bottom now, and it's coming up all right. That's the second bite within probably 20 minutes of the last one, and 5 minutes of rebaiting and putting the bait out. That's on the lugworm, tipped with a bit of mackerel, I think, this one. There's a bigger thornback here, female one. Look at the thorns on that tail, you can see them there. If I get that in the...
That's like a barbed wire fence.
Look at the thorns on that tail.
That's just like a barbed wire fence.
That is why they're called Thornback Rays. It's a female, this one, and this is bigger than the one we just had.
That's about the most aggressive thorns I've ever seen on a thornback.
That really is, isn't it? And they've got thorns. When you hold rays, you hold them here.
There's a little gap.
There's a gap. You see, I can't really turn it around, but there's my thumb there, and there's a gap. You'll feel the bone where my fingers are.
Just about.
And that's where you should hold them. Just
you got to watch their jaws.
Yeah. And there's spikes
thorns
here.
Everywhere. They can be everywhere. Even around the eyes on this one.
Yeah, on the nose bit there. They're absolutely everywhere. Look at the eyes on that.
Aliens. Wayne says they're alien eyeless.
That, if I just kneel down, look at it compared to me. That's my PB Thornback Ray.
That's a nice thornback, that one.
That's a good one.
And you know what we have for bait? 10 lugworm and 1 mackerel.
That is all we had.
That is all we could catch. The lugworm digging was shocking.
Yeah, it didn't go
and the
too
mackerel fishing was even more shocking. And the wind's awful.
Oh, but the fishing is good.
It's totally awesome.
Yeah. Right.
Nice fish. Another still.
Yeah.
That fishing off for half. £9, I'd say.
Fish.
£9.
Right, we've just weighed it. There's £10, 2 ounces of fine Thornback Ray, female Thornback Ray, with a pretty totally awesome thorny tail there. And a lovely fish. And we're just going to release it. Hopefully not near this fishing line. What you're going to do is just hold it there. Don't release it straight away. Try and hold it there, allow it to recover a bit, and you'll see its wings start to flap a bit, and then it's ready to go. But just hold it there until you can see its wings moving a bit more. Well, we've got another bite on here. We've had those 2 thornbacks, 2 nice Thornback Rays. Hopefully it's another thornback, but the wind has really picked up now. It's absolutely whistling. So we're probably going to pack up if we land this fish. Whether we land it or not, I think we're going to call it a day. Hopefully he's well and truly hooked now.
Fish on!
Yeah.
Is it a doggy?
No, I think it's coming up like a ray.
I don't know, it goes heavy.
Yeah, I'd say that's a ray.
Doggies normally kicking and thrashing a bit, aren't they?
Yeah.
Good old Ben, and that's the benefit of using these light spinning rods. You don't really need heavy boat rods, you know, only for fighting the tide. And I reckon that could be a ray, you know.
Yeah, it's coming up like a ray, I'd say. Oh, he's come off.
Oh, I lost
through
him.
the line, I'd say.
Chafed through.
That pinged off. He's gone through the line. Yeah. We did catch a ray earlier on this, and it was the line might have been a bit frayed.
Might have frayed it.
Always best to check the line. But yeah, he snapped it.
Well, call it quits. At least we caught 2.
There was a fish on there, but he's gone through it. Tail might have gone through it.